NeckNation, welcome to another exciting podcast with NECKROOTS. I'm Kit James.
Austin Davis.
And look here, we're talking about getting in the game today. This episode is titled Get in the Game.
Getting in the game, Kit.
Yeah.
This is important, right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this, and the game is life.
Absolutely.
Right? The game is life. And the world, this is where we're playing the game. And the world takes no prisoners, Kit.
Nope.
It will chew you up and spit you out.
Yep.
And the game doesn't stop just because you're sitting on the sidelines. So I think we all need to ask ourselves the question, Kit, where are we? Are we playing this game? Are we sitting on the sidelines? Are we sitting at home? You know, where are we in this game of life?
That is a great way to get started. Where are we in the game of life? And I think the answer to that is different for everybody. But what's not different for everybody is we were all born with limitless potential, right? Even if we were born in different circumstances, we are our own worst enemy. And the truth is, we were born with limitless potential. We were born with the same goals in mind. And when we started, I mean, the starting line doesn't change, right?
Right.
But what does change as life goes on, and I'm talking to myself, I'm talking to you, Austin, I'm talking to NeckNation. I think everybody can feel the same emotion and reflect on this and feel the same way. And that is, as life goes on, and as we are sometimes lose the life in living, and as we are living through life, guess what happens? Life, right? And this game, you know what? There's penalties. There's things that happen in the game, right?
Sure.
And those failures or those setbacks or those things, those experiences that we learn, we call them failures, but we're going to train our minds to call them feedback, right? And we've talked about that, but the reality is, as we go through life over these bumps and hurdles and issues and trials and some of triumphs, and we learn to maybe play the game a little bit differently, or we learn to be cautious, we learn to be a little bit afraid, right?
Absolutely.
And those things are learned. And so I think that we all can resonate in the feeling of maybe we're living, but we're not living up to our full potential. And I think we all have hopes and dreams and things that we want to do in life, and certain outcomes and certain desires and certain directions that we have. I'm not talking about when you were in preschool or kindergarten and they said, what do you want to be? I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a police officer. It's more than that. You want to be the best you can be and be somebody and go somewhere, right? And I think at this stage of my life anyways, where I'm halfway through the better half, I guess,
Yeah.
I can look back and go, you know what? It didn't work out the way I thought it would, but man, I'm glad the way it's worked out. But the reality is, could I have done more? Could I have done better? Yeah, probably, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's the beautiful thing about the game. The reason we play any game is because there's so much opportunity to learn and to grow and to push yourself. And I think looking at life like a game is a really good way to put it in our heads. You know what I mean?
It is. And you said something that stuck with me. You said, sometimes we're not living up to our full potential. And for me, a game is not worth playing. I never show up to a game if my intent is not to win. And I think we have to take that same attitude towards this game of life, dude. NeckNation, you're showing up to this game, you're showing up to win.
Yeah.
We're playing to win this game.
Right.
We're not playing just to have a good time. Yeah. We're not playing to waste time.
Yeah.
We're not playing just, maybe, I'll learn something here or there. We're playing to win this game.
Yeah.
We've got to win this game. This game is for us. This isn't somebody else's game. Yeah. This game of life doesn't belong. My game of life doesn't belong to you, Kit. I mean, I know our games cross paths every once in a while here, but this is my game.
Yeah.
And I got to take control of it.
Right.
And I got to win it. And where is our passion, right? Is our passion on the field? Is our passion in the game? Is our passion on the court? Or are we just kind of sitting back on the couch eating Cheetos, right? I've been there. NeckNation, eating Cheetos for a long time, sitting back eating Cheetos. And I might eat Cheetos in the future, right? But, man, we got to get in the game.
That's okay, Austin. Just don't wipe your fingers on the couch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. My wife will have a field day if I wipe the Cheeto fingers on the couch.
Just don't lay on the white couch. You know what? That's it. I'm glad you said that. But there's one thing that you told me months ago, and that is we were talking about your racing days, and you said I don't ever enter a race because I was asking you about the race that you had when there was 200 racers, and that's dude, that's a lot of racers,
There's a
bro.
lot of racers there, yeah.
And I said, what did you think you would place? And you're like, I don't enter any race unless I think or know I can win. I have
Win
the
my
potential.
class.
Yeah, win your class. So that's awesome, right? But guess what? Life isn't a rehearsal. And as we're going through life, I'm going to tell you some of the most damaging things and the biggest bottlenecks in my life are when I say words like can't. In my house, and you know this, that's a 4-letter word. I'd rather my kids say a 4-letter word that gets soap in their mouth
Yeah.
than the word can't. That's absolute no in this house. You don't say that at the ranch,
Not
bro.
at the ranch, dude. No way.
Because you know what happens when you say the word can't? It's so interesting because have you ever been in that situation where your wife will say, hey, babe, will you go grab this or whatever, right? And I say, yeah, where's it at? Oh, it's in the third cupboard on the second shelf. And dude, I no longer open the cupboard and I go out loud. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I open the cupboard and I'm like, I can't find it.
Oh my gosh, kid, dude, this is me. If I had a nickel for every time I told my wife I can't find the peanut butter,
Yeah.
and she just walks right up and grabs it and it's sitting right in front of my face. If I
Dude.
had a nickel, dude,
Yeah.
I'd be a rich man.
Bro, I'm telling you what, you open the cupboard, right? You're looking for the peanut butter, right?
I'm looking for peanut butter.
Bro, it is probably right there where it can bite you in the nose, right?
No joke.
You can't hide peanut butter. Why can't you find it?
I can't find it. You know why? Because I told myself I can't.
That's exactly right. And you know what? It's the craziest, stupidest thing to say. It sounds silly, but when you say the words I can't, bro, you just programmed the mainframe, right, to not find it. Doesn't matter if your eyes go past the peanut butter 3 or 4 times, 100%,
You're done looking.
the brain's already shut off. And so when I'm working with crews or working with my kids when they say the word can't, their brain shut off. You got to stop what you're doing and you got to reprogram the brain and say, you can't say that word, but we say it to ourselves all the time. So words like can't, dude, that's a no. I'd rather, you know what I mean? I'm not going to say what I'd rather say, but look, can't's no bueno. It's no good because it automatically programs your brain that you can't. And if you say you can't, 100%, you're right.
Yeah, it's
right?
not happening.
It's bad to be consistent in that momentous way of going the wrong way.
Yep.
But the other word is impossible, right?
Oh,
It can't and impossible are brothers, man, right? And when my son will say, "Oh, Dad, I want to do this and this," but I'm struggling, I'm trying. I'm like, okay, first you said try, first you said you struggle. Don't program yourself to struggle or to try. Don't program that, right? That's the same as the C word that I don't want to say out loud.
yeah.
But then we've all faced things that feel impossible. But so really it's about reframing our mind. When we realize how powerful our brains are, I mean, they're coming out with new studies now that say, we used to build our brains and learn from this age to this age. And the older we get, our brains aren't capable of learning. Well, now they've found new studies that actually your brain's always learning. The one thing, it's like 7-Eleven, bro. Your brain don't turn off. It's open 24 hours a day, even when we're going night-night.
Yeah.
So it's so powerful and it's so important, NeckNation, to feed our brains good stuff, right? And bad stuff is can't. It'll bottleneck you and impossible. And what I tell my kids when they would say, I don't know, it's impossible. Right? I was teaching them to water ski and they're like, Dad, let me just do 2 and I'll drop 1. And, kids don't water ski anymore. We surf and we do this. And I'm like, that's an 8-mile-an-hour sport, son. We're going to do a 32-mile-an-hour sport.
Yeah.
Get in there and hang on and shut up, right?
Yeah, we're about the speed anyway. So.
Yeah. And they're looking at this little skinny thing like, it's impossible. Impossible. If you look at the spelling of impossible, right? It's I'm possible.
Impossible.
Right. So if we can just take those little mind hacks and those little things to when we're self-talking and saying things out loud, it's true, man. If you want to know the inner makings and workings of a man, listen to what he says, right? Because your brain's listening to what you say. even if someone else isn't listening, right?
Yeah, yeah, and this is so applicable to the game of life, right? If you show up to the game of life at any point, at any aspect of the game, I mean, you got in your game, you're going to have relationships, you're going to have work, career, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You're going to have family. If you say I can't or it's impossible at any one of those things, it's
You're right.
over. Game over for you.
Brain shuts off.
Game over is for you.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Using this comparison and this lateral for game and life is so good, because let's think about a game. You got people out there playing, right? And they're getting noticed, and they're getting praised, and they're winning, right? They're actually out there doing. And then you got people on the sideline that they're qualified and certified to be there, but maybe they're not in the game. But if someone gets hurt or goes down, their opportunity and number will be called up and they can play the game. And then you got people in the stands, right?
Yeah.
And they're so passionate about the game. They love the game, but they're in the stands, so they're there. They're physically there. They're feeling the energy, right? They're getting excited or down about the game. And they made a sacrifice to be there, right?
Yeah.
Sit with all the people and parking and tickets and the whole deal. And then you have the other people that are home,
Yep.
right? On TV watching the game. And they can't feel the same energy, but they can still participate. And so you look at these different levels all the way down, just comparing life to a game. And you think about it. Where are we at in the game?
Yeah,
What's
where are
holding us back, right?
Yeah.
And first of all, we have so much more potential than what we're putting forward, right?
Oh, sure.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing's impossible, dude. We have seen ordinary people do extraordinary things. And you know what? It's good that you pose that question. Where are we in the game? And you know what, NeckNation? We have to ask ourselves that all the time. I ask myself that all the time, and I keep trying to call timeout. The freaking ref don't hear me.
Yeah, no, there's no timeout, brother.
Well, I tried. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've tried to act hurt. I've tried to call timeout. Right? I mean, so where are you in the game? And then the other thing that I like to point out is kind of funny. You know, back in 06, 07, quite some time ago, I was doing the big stage of seminars, right?
Yep.
And it was in 07, the Boston Red Sox had just won the World Series, right?
It's a big deal.
It was a big deal. They hadn't won it for a while. And so I was already scheduled to speak a week and a half to it was 2,000 plus people. And I had a 35-minute thing. And so anyways, and this was the first time my wife came with me, and so we go there, and I say, babe, it's our anniversary, and so let's go to Boston and do the tour and see the history and Paul Revere's house and all the different cool U.S. history. And so anyways, we did that, and she came and watched me speak, and I'm like, frick, dude, I seen this person that I'm speaking behind, and I'm like, I'm nobody, right? This person's somebody. How am I going to get these guys' attention?
Yeah.
And then it's the first time that my wife had been there and seen it, right? We got us a babysitter. And so this is the first time she's seen it. So I'm feeling the pressure, right? I'm like, dude, I'm speaking behind.
Perform.
Yeah, I got to perform, right?
Yeah.
I got to get these people's attention, because usually what happens, Austin, is you get up there, there's all these people, right? So far you can't see them. And thank goodness that the lights are bright. You can't even see how many people are there, but you know.
You
right?
get it.
And so when they introduced me and bring me out, well, everyone wanted to sit there and watch that famous person that spoke in front of me, right? Because he was pretty famous. And once they heard that, they were like, Kit James, don't know him, right?
Yeah.
And so they'd get up and start walking down the aisle, and while they're introducing me, and that don't make you feel very good, right?
No, dude. You take the wind out of your sails, man.
And it doesn't give a very, very good impression to the wife. The first time they introduce you, and everybody's going back to get a hot dog or a pretzel. So you always have to do things to get their attention, right? And in a game, sometimes our coach is always trying to get our attention or whatever, right? In the game of life. And so I knew that they had just won, right?
Sure.
And I know they're pretty proud of it. And I seen it on TV. And so I'm like, I got to get their attention. So when I went out there, I said, hey, I'm not from here. I'm from the West Coast. So was there something? I seen something on TV about some Sox or your baseball team or something that won. Did you guys win? Like, you win it all, like the World Series? And the place erupts. Right?
Oh, sure, man.
They go bananas, and they're cheering and screaming and making all kinds of noise. And I just sat there for a minute and I said, so it was your team. Congratulations. You guys, I seen you partying in the street and carrying on, and
Yeah.
that's awesome, right? That's dope. And they kept screaming and yelling. And I said, but you know what's funny? I said, all them players that were out there on the field, they did something pretty remarkable and won the World Series. And you guys are cheering and celebrating like you won it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was your team, and that's the team you're passionate about and support, and that's cool. But here you are celebrating this team that won, and these players that played that game. You know them, but you've never met them personally, right? And some of you idolize them so much that you want to be them, but they don't want to be you.
Yeah.
Right?
That's interesting.
And I said, and the interesting thing is you're sitting on the sidelines watching these guys play, and you're even actually celebrating it so much that you're wearing a jersey that has somebody else's name on the back, right?
Wow.
And I said, but watch this now. Let's go here. I said, what's going to happen next year now that you guys won? I said, you're pretty popular. Them seats are going to be pretty coveted and pretty popular seats, right?
Sure.
And they all just sat there, and I said, and you guys are going to end up paying more money.
Prices are going up, dude.
To go watch them play. When are we going to celebrate us? When are we going to put our own names on our back and be proud of us and get in the game?
Yeah.
Right? And so, I mean, I probably upset a few people there in Boston, but it's okay.
It's okay.
I got their attention, but
it was in 2007. They forgot.
Yeah, bro, they forgot. That's right. I get hate mail later. But the reality is, in getting their attention, it kind of just rang true to me that, you know, we are running around and celebrating other people that maybe we don't know or whatever. Is it okay to buy a jersey with some other dude's name on the back? Yeah, my freaking kids love it. Yeah. I've got some hanging at the ranch down in the fun room. You know what I mean? But the reality is, when you think about it, NeckNation, the distance between playing the game and watching the game is celebrating us. You know, when we were 5 years old and it was your birthday party, Austin, bro, you want to invite your whole homeroom class.
Everybody was coming.
Bro,
dude.
you probably, I mean, if we could have, we would have wrote the president of the United States. And
come to my birthday.
By the way, birthday party starts at this time, right?
No joke.
So that's how we celebrated when we were younger.
Yeah.
With that kind of passion. Now I'm 50 years old, and if you ask me, hey, isn't it your birthday? Because we recorded a podcast on my birthday one day, and I don't think you know that, right?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
And because what happens is, oh, it's no big deal. That's your birthday? Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah.
Well, why not, man? Right?
What's changed?
What's changed? Exactly. So I think we do have to celebrate us. We need to put us first, and we need to focus on playing the game. Does that mean that we're going to get in there and be popular, famous, whatever? No. But the reality is we're going to be special. We're going to be important. And what we're doing that day, right, we need to play like we're playing to win.
Yeah. And I think we've got to hone in on this is like we were talking about. This is our game, right? We've talked about comparison before. I think comparison is applicable here.
Oh, yeah.
Don't compare yourself to other people who are playing their games. They may be playing their games. Who knows how long they've been playing their games or how dedicated they have been to playing their games. You just pay attention to your own game.
Right.
And give it everything that you have. Put all your passion into your own game. Don't worry about, you know, who's doing better or if somebody's doing better than you. Just get that out of your mind,
right.
NeckNation. Don't even pay attention to stuff like that.
And you know where you pay attention to it most of the times? On social media.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You think about it. It's
you know, we go there looking for it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, bro. And you know what happens when, and my son does, I do it too. I mean, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
You start doing the scrolly.
Yep.
And when the Google box is scrolling fast, you're hooked, bro. You see something cool, you want to see something else cool. But what happens really is what we're doing is we're living vicariously through whoever that guy is that's in the game.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, wouldn't it be great if we could just translate all those cool things that we see or interesting or things that we're interested in, whatever it is, and translate that to us doing it. And it really comes down to action, really comes down to just small changes and being committed to be in the game, because this life is not a rehearsal. I mean, when you're in the game, you get a practice.
Yeah.
When you go to school, you get a lesson, right? They'll teach you a lesson, prepare you for a test. right? And then you take the test after the lesson. In life, we get the test first and the lesson second.
Yeah, that's
Right?
true.
So this life's not a rehearsal, right? We don't know how much time we got. And so we want to be like Jim Brown, man, give me the ball. We want to be that passionate. Give me the ball, right? We want to take the ball in the critical moments because every moment's critical.
Yeah.
So I think it's something so important to talk about. And a lot of times, we want instant gratification, right? Just because of how cool the Google boxes are and how fast you can get answers. I mean, you get answers quick. And so I look at the way we look at life, and it's like, dude, if you want to find something out, Austin, you find it
It's
out.
right there, dude. Right at
Right?
your fingertips.
Yeah,
Instantly.
And so I think sometimes we get, in that state where if we want something, we want it right now.
Yeah.
Right. And being able to work for it and to earn it, right? Who's going to play the game for you? Like whatever it is. If you go to race and you line up in your class, I mean, who's going to race that race for you if you can't?
Nobody. It's me. It's up to me.
Yeah. We got people around us that'll help, encourage, coach, persuade, train. But at the end of the day, dude, when you go wide open and grab throttle, it's you.
It's me.
Right. And
Yeah.
so I think that's the important thing. We sometimes count on people too much almost. You know what I mean?
I think that could be, we use it as a crutch.
Yeah.
Right? I think, or an excuse. But there is no excuses, right?
Right.
This is the time that we toughen up.
Yeah.
Right? Toughen up, get in the game. And you don't have to score the first time you have possession of the ball.
Right.
Right? You just need to march it down the field.
Right. 1 yard at a time.
Yeah. You got 4 downs until you need to get 10 yards and you get another first down, right? You can march the ball down the field. You don't have to score
Yep.
the first time you get possession.
And even if you go all 4 and the ball gets turned over, guess what? You still gonna get it back. At least you're in the game.
You're in the game.
Right? I mean, I've
Yeah.
had to turn the ball over in my game of life 100 times, bro.
Oh, sure.
But
Yeah.
it don't matter as long as I'm in the game.
You're in the game.
Right. And I think that's the important thing is being in the game. And the one thing about being in the game and talking about some of the distractions and some of the limitations that we put on ourselves, because we truly do put them on ourselves.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Yep.
And then when you think about those things, it's like nothing's going to be handed to us. And I think that's something that's hard when you're teaching your kids. It's like nothing's going to just be handed to you or nothing's going to come free.
No.
And even when it is handed to you, you don't appreciate it. Right? So
It's true.
there was a little story about excuse me, this guy that he said he was learning to talk to God, and so he goes up to the top of the mountain. He goes, I'm going to ask God a question.
Sure.
Right. I've been figuring out how to communicate with God. I'm going to ask him a question. I'm going to get on the tallest mountain. So he goes up there and he says, God, what's a penny? Like what's $1 million?
Yeah.
And so he goes, what's $1 million, God? And he goes, to me? He goes, yeah, to you, God. What's $1 million? He goes, it's a penny. He's like, okay. And he goes, what's a minute to you? He's like, a minute? And yeah, in your time, God. He goes, it's 1,000,000 years. He's like, oh, okay, I was just wondering. And God says, son, do you have any other questions? He goes, yeah, I need $1 million. and he goes,
Guess what he says?
he says, okay, no problem, son. Yeah. You can have $1 million in a minute.
In a minute.
In 1,000,000 years. So point is, it's not going to be handed to you, right?
No.
Man, God will be there to listen. People will be there to listen. People will be there to help guide and direct. But at the end of the day, man, it's not going to be given to you.
No,
you got to dig
work
deep. Yeah, you got to grind it out.
Yeah.
Right?
You got to carry the ball.
And to really appreciate and have the passion in life, you can't have someone do it for you anyway.
Right.
Right? It's
Yeah.
fun to do it with someone else or to do it with the team and have the right team around you, family and friends, etc. But you certainly have to do it on your own. You got to do your piece, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a story, though, that I think really hits home for what we're talking about. Number one, we got to give it everything we got. If we are in the game, we got to give it everything we got.
Yeah.
And to get in the game, we got to give it everything we got, right? So there's this carpenter. He's in his 70s, early 70s. I mean, this guy is good. Like when I say he's a carpenter, he is a skilled craftsman that is really perfected his craft. and he's a very, very professional carpenter, and his reputation precedes himself, and everybody in the valley knows. Well, this carpenter worked for the same company his whole life, right?
Okay.
And as he was working for this guy, the company that he worked for did really well because they knew that this skilled carpenter was just he was the man, and he did a great job. He was on site, and people would go to him to have him build their houses because they knew that he'd use the best material. He took a lot of pride in his work. He didn't cut any corners, and he would turn out an unbelievable, beautiful product, right?
Sure.
And so as he's getting finishing up this last house, he's talking to his boss, and he goes, "Boss, I got to tell you, I've been with you for 48 years, and it's been great. It really has. It's been awesome, and I appreciate you." And the boss says, "I appreciate your loyalty." And he goes, "Don't tell me you're this is it." He goes, "Yeah, I'm going to retire, man. I've kind of, this last house was my last house, and I'm going to retire.
Yeah.
And mentally, I'm done, right? Physically, I just want to be able to go spend time with my wife. We got this whole thing planned, and I'm checking out. I'm going to retire." And the boss says, "Well, I kind of figured, this was coming, and you've been so loyal and so great." And he goes, "But can I just ask you, there's one favor I got to ask you." And he says, "Okay, whatever." He goes, "Can you do one more house?" And he goes, "It's important. It's for a very important person. And, I guarantee you he's going to want you to do it." Right?
Yeah.
And he's like, "I don't know. Let me talk to my wife." And he's like, "Please just consider it. And it's, I don't ask you for a lot of things. And we've been friends, and you worked here for a long time. But," and so he come back next day and goes, "Nah, I don't think so, man. I talked to my wife, and I've kind of mentally checked out, and we're done. And so we want to go do some other things." And he wanted to get his house in order and, go build a house and do it with his wife and kind of just enjoy his life. Right.
Yeah.
So the boss says, I understand. And so he asked him, so he goes to get his paycheck at the office, and the boss asked him one more time. He said, "Come on, just reconsider it one more. That's it. It's all I'm asking. I've never asked you for a favor, right?
Yeah.
You've been with me for a long time, and we've built a great reputation and a great business, but I just need you to do this one house. It's super important." He's like, "Let me talk to my wife this weekend." And so he comes back on Monday, and he says, "Boss, I'll do it."
Okay.
All right.
Gotcha.
But the thing is he's kind of already mentally moved on.
Yeah, he's, he said he's checked out.
Yeah, he's checked out. So he does this next house. Well, the next house, everything this guy did during his career turned out phenomenal. But this next house, he wasn't really in it to win it, right? He wasn't in the game the same way he was. So he cut corners. He didn't use the best material. He used to use the best and the finest material because, he wanted to stand behind it, and it just showed better, right? He paid attention to detail and all these things. And on this house, he didn't. The detail wasn't there. The attention wasn't there. He cut corners wherever he could. He was done.
Yeah.
Right. And so, long story short, the way they it's kind of ceremonial, but the owner, his boss would usually come with the new homeowner and do a final walkthrough, and then they'd have the keys, and they'd give him the keys and ask the carpenter if he had any questions. They'd thank the carpenter, and they kind of walk through it together and turn the keys over to the new owner. So as he was nearing completion of this house, the boss came by, and he goes, "When can I bring the owners?" And he said, "Here's another week, whatever, this time, and we'll make sure everything's buttoned up and ready for him." He says, "Okay, great." So boss shows up, and he's just sitting there waiting for the owner. He goes, "Where's the owner?" He goes, he should be here." And then the carpenter, his wife, pulls up. He's like, "Oh, freak, dude, I hope everything's okay. Why is my wife here? I didn't forget my lunch today. What's she doing?" And so the wife comes over, and he talks to the husband, and he's like, "Honey, what are you doing here?" "We're just getting ready to do a walkthrough with the owners." And she goes, "Oh, well, your boss called me and told me I should come over, and he wanted to show us something." And they look at the boss, and the boss hands both of them the keys to the house. And he said, "This house that you built was for you. It was for a very important person, and I really appreciate you doing it. And here's the keys. Thanks for all your dedication and over the years and the hard work."
Yeah.
Can you imagine the way the carpenter felt?
Yeah, holy cow.
So the house represents our life. And he did so good, for so long for his boss. But when it was for himself.
Yeah, but if you'd only known, right? I mean,
You know
it
what?
almost seems unfair because you didn't know.
Right. But when do you ever know in life, right? Think about the people and the example we are when we're given 100% in the game and we're given 100% in life. Think of who we influence without even knowing it, right?
That's so true.
Think about your kids. I mean, would you have done better if yesterday, if you would have known that day of living was for you? Well, you know what I mean? Of course it's for you. So this house represents, it's a good question, but the house represents life.
Yeah.
And had he known, would he done it differently? Yeah, he would have. So the point is, and the moral of the story is, bro, we got to do our best every day.
Yeah.
Because we never know, right? And just assume it's always for us.
Always.
Right? And so can he go back and do over that house? You can't start over.
No.
He's lost that time. He's lost that opportunity. The only thing he can do is pick up the pieces and kind of move on from there and learn from that experience. So NeckNation, no matter where you are in the game, it's important to get in the game, right? No matter where our emotions are, our feelings are. The one thing I want to say, Austin, is our emotions, they come from motion, right? This guy went through the motions to build this house, but your emotions come from motions. He wasn't going through the motions the right way. Yeah. He wasn't doing it the best of his ability. So anytime we're feeling down and out, just remember, motion will equal our emotions, and that's called taking action. And the action we take, we got to make sure we're in it to win it, and we do the best we can every day. We know that, but, just be conscious about it. I have to. Otherwise, you'll slack here and there. So
yeah,
it's important. You know why? Because we're important. And if you don't think your house matters or your life matters, it does.
Yeah.
Show up for you, no matter where you are in the game.
Yep, you reminded me of something that you told me a little while ago, which is it's never too late to become who you might have been.
Right? Yeah.
And so, NeckNation, let's get in the game. Let's carry the ball. Let's march it down the field. We don't have to score the first possession, but we need to be marching down the field. And if we have a turnover, don't worry, that's not the end of the game, right? We got to keep playing.
Yeah.
So, if you like what you've heard today, if you enjoyed the message, be sure to like and subscribe to the video and to the podcast. The more people that like the video, I'm telling you, you guys got to like this video so that we can reach more people. Also,
and if you don't like the video, I'm going to blow the whistle on your game.
Yeah, we'll blow the whistle on the game. But also, we've got, if you're interested, we've got some pretty cool neck gear on NECKROOTS.com, so go check that out if you're interested. But thanks for listening to NeckNation, and bless up.
Bless up. Thanks.